Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the second part of our tutorial here. The first part, there's going to be a link at the very top. That one we went over the path nodes, we went over enemy spawning and making the waves themselves. This tutorial, the second half, is more about the traps and all the other dynamic features in this level, more arena. Just for fun, this is more of the fun side where you get to be a little more creative in terms of interaction with the player and the environment. So I'll show you all the stuff that I came up with. It's only a few of them. So the first one we're going to work on is an encapsulating room here, this back area. You'll be able to just chill back here, and you'll be able to lock the doors and stay back here. This one's the only, the one right in front of me here. This is the only section of this back area that will remain open when you have this area locked down. But the lockdown only lasts about 15 seconds. So what we're going to do, first we need to make sure that we have our dynamic doors here. We know that since they're intervectors. So these doors will come in like that, and they'll close like that, and the same thing on this side. And that will only happen if the player is within this volume and presses the E key to go ahead and he'll press the E key, and then once he's in the volume as well, these doors will lock for 15 seconds, and then they'll open back up. But you can do that as many times as you like. So let's go into Kismet, and we're going to go ahead and set that up. We still have all the stuff here from before. We're just going to ignore that. If you haven't watched that tutorial, like I said, it's going to be in the description as well, as there should be a link in the video itself. So the first thing we definitely need is one Boolean variable. So let's go ahead and make that new variable, bool, and we're going to name this isTouchingVolume. So we're going to have a check to see if the player is in that volume that we had to specify, this volume right here. Oops. Once he is, then we'll be able to do the significant check that will allow this whole Kismet sequence to fire correctly. So let's go ahead and actually press the C key on that and comment that as Boolean variables. There's going to be more with the other traps, but we'll go ahead and do that a little bit later. So with the trigger volume actually selected in our scene, let's go into Kismet. We're going to open this up wider. We're going to right click, do new event using trigger volume 4, and do a touch. Now what we're going to do, we're going to leave all the default settings how they are. The only thing we're going to change is the max trigger count to 0, just so we can fire this an infinite amount of times. What we're going to do, every time this volume is touched and untouched, we're going to change the value of that Boolean variable we just created. So let's get the set variable node for bool. When it's touched, we're going to go to touched, and then the value is going to be true. So create a new Boolean, set 0 to 1 to make it true. And our target, we're going to just create a new named variable. Expected type is going to be bool, and what that name is isTouchingVolume. Perfect. We're going to do almost the identically same thing here. We're going to copy and paste that, except we're going to change true to false and set that to untouched. So let's go ahead and make a log of that. Good thing we still have our debug up here. So we have a bool open for us. So let's copy and paste that that variable, I should say. Plug that into bool. Let's go ahead and play and see if it changes as we touch it. So let's play from here.
You are on red.
Oh, we forgot the most important key here. We need to plug in the level loaded into there so it'll actually fire. Let's try that again.
You are
right now at the bottom we see false. We touch it, it's true. Untouch it, false. And so on. So we know that's working, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and put that there. So the next thing we're going to do, there's actually an event with the key button pressing. So new event, let us do input and key button pressed. And then under input names, let's hit that plus mark and do a capital E, so we'll know we're talking about the letter E here. And by default, the max trigger count is set to 0 with these key button press, so that's exactly what we want. So whenever the E button is pressed, what we want to do, we're going to do a condition. We want to compare bool. So every time it's pressed, we're going to compare a bool. And which bool is it? We're going to compare the isTouchingVolume bool. And if he is touching the volume, as in the player, then we want to go ahead and create the matinee sequence. If he's not, then that E is not going to do anything. Pressing E without being in the volume is not going to do anything. So hold down the M key, left click, get us a new matinee. Let's already hook up true to play. We're actually going to do after completed, we're going to set an activate delay of 15 seconds. And then completed is going to go into the reverse. So after 15 seconds, the doors are going to open up again, and you'll be able to keep doing this over and over again. There's not going to be any kind of delay of when it's active or not active. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and make this matinee sequence here work. So let's double click on the matinee node. Now in the matinee, let's make sure we have the first door selected. With that selected, let's right click. We don't want to add a folder. We want to go ahead and add an empty group, and we'll just call this door open underscore enclosed room. And we want this animation to be about a second long. So let's right click, add new movement track. Let's go ahead and then do the second keyframe at a second. Then let's go ahead and snap it in. Perfect. So we have it animated. So it's boom. And then what we're going to do, select the second door. With that selected, let's create another empty group. Let's do door underscore open underscore enclosed room underscore 02. Right click, add new movement track, and do the same exact thing with the second door. So now they're both playing, which is awesome. So let's play that back. Awesome. So they're both playing. And what I want to do, I want to make the animation a little bit faster and not have to, adjust the keyframes or anything like that, or the timeline. So selecting the matinee sequence here, the play rate, if you do 2 instead of 1, it'll play it twice as fast. So we have that working. It should work. So let's go ahead, right click, and play from here.
You are on red.
And now they're closed. Awesome. So that's good. Okay. And actually, we're going to do something interesting here. Let's go ahead and disconnect these real quick. We're going to do a compare right now. No, actually, what we're going to do instead, we want to put an on-screen prompt for the player to press E so he knows about it. So a new action, let's go to voice and then just play announcement. In the announcement text, we'll just do press E to perform room lockdown or something like that. So every time it's touched, actually let's create a second boolean, and it's going to be almost similar in the name, but it's going to be B is door or BR doors closed. So what we're going to do another comparison here. Every time it's touched, we're going to compare the B is door closed variable here. Right now it's false. And if it's true, if nothing's going to happen if it's true. But if it's false, if the doors aren't closed, we're going to do, we're going to set that to true. And we're going to play that announcement. But we also have to add a set boolean, another one, for that variable we just created. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to change this up. We're not going to give it a delay at all for the completed. Let me open this up wider. Completed, it's going to go straight into there so the doors are closed. And then we're going to create a delay node here. We're going to hit delay, 15 seconds. Now it's going to go into there. Then once it's finished, we're going to do a reverse, and we're also going to set that back to false. So let's go ahead and set that up. Alright, perfect. So that is all set up. So let's see if that had changed anything, if it's working properly. So whenever I go into the volume here, it's going to tell me to press E. And press E, lockdowns perform. Go touch it again. It's not telling me to do it. So let's wait 15 seconds. And we'll see if it'll continue working the same way here. Oh geez. Alright, doors are open again. Go back in. It's telling us to do it again. Perfect. So that's working exactly how we want it to. So we got that completed. So let's comment that. We'll call that enclosed room logic. Perfect. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do here is our bomb sets, or traps I should say. So with the traps entailed with them, each should have their own trigger volume around them. They also both have what's called a material instance actor. You can go inside actor classes, type in material instance, or just material, or not even anything. Okay, let's try mat. Here we go, material instance actor is exactly what we're looking for. You would just drag it into your scene, you would get this. And with this particular object here, I had to create two separate main materials. Let me go ahead and fully load that package here. Alright, so I have the first one, light 01, and then I have light 02, and I both have material instances created for each of those. So there's a material instance for light 1, and there's a material instance for light 2. Just because if they if both these traps were associated with the same material instance, they would both be activated at the same time instead of working individually. So say for example, they were working off the same material instance. When you go to press and activate this one trap, you press E. This will turn red when we animate it, but so will this one. We want those both to work independently from one another. Therefore, we want to go ahead and create different material instances and provide them both with their own material instance actor. And we also have particles here. They're turned off at the moment. If you go to auto activate, you go ahead and uncheck that. And these are just explosions. So if we check this out, this is just the explosion. So that's just for when the trap is activated. You go ahead and you explode. And we'll also add a sound effect to that as well. So let's go ahead and set this up. We'll first do this one. This will be trap 1. This will be trap 2 over here. So left and right, trap 1 and 2. So trap 1, let's go into Kismet. And before we even go there, let's make sure this trigger volume is selected. Okay, so let's go down here a bit. Let's right click. Let's do new event, touch. And then for that touch, what we're going to do, we're going to leave the class proximities the same. Nothing's going to change, except we're going to do the max trigger count to 0, just so this can be activated multiple times. So now the first thing we're going to do is, one thing I noticed when I was first working on this, when enemies would go over the trigger volume, it would tell you to press E to activate the trap. We only want the prompt to come up if the player is. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click, do a new condition, comparison. We're going to compare objects here. So touched right into that. Whoops. Let's go ahead and move this down a little bit because we'll need more room here. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click, do a new empty object variable. This is basically going to say, hey, whoever touches this volume, that object's going to be put into that empty object variable. So we're also going to make that one of our comparisons here. And then B is going to be our player. So let's get our player variable. Should be somewhere around here. Here it is. Did we create a player variable? I think we did, but we'll go ahead and just use player 0. So bring that down here. So player 0 is going to be our second comparison. And basically, if the player is the one that's touching in here, we got to create a new Boolean for what we want to compare. So let's go up here. So let's go ahead, copy and paste. It's going to remain false, but the Boolean is going to be B is trap 1 set. So basically, right now the trap's not going to be set. When you press E over it, it will then set the trap, and it will do that animation that we'll do where it goes from yellow to red to let you know it's activated, and we'll be able to move forward from there. So let's go ahead, copy and paste one of those name variables. That's a bool. Let's change the name to B is trap 1 set. So let's go ahead and right click, new condition, compare bool. So whenever the player is the one that's touching the trigger volume, we're going to compare the next bool. If the trap is set. If the trap is not set, we then want to go ahead and tell the player that he can set the trap. So let's do new action, voice announcement, play announcement, and we're going to do press E to set trap. But before we even hook that up, what we need to do next is there is actually another volume we need to do, or not volume, I should say. It's a new Boolean overall, a Boolean variable we need to make. So let's move these up, copy and paste one, and then we're going to do B is touching trap 1, and that's going to let us know if someone is touching that trigger volume or not. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to compare. No, we're not going to compare that. We're going to set that new action, set variable, set bool. So whenever anyone touches this, including the player, we're going to do a is touching true kind of thing here. So we're going to do false. So when the trap is not set, we're going to do a true. We're going to set this to true. So copy paste is trap set, but we're going to change it to B is touching trap 1. That's our target, the value. Right click, create a new bool, change that to true, and then from there we're going to put in this voice announcement. So right now all we can really do is go up to this volume and then play from here.
You are on red.
And then when we touch it, it'll say press E to set trap. But when we press E, nothing's going to happen. But before we add the activity for pressing the E key, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this section about touching the trap, the volume. We're going to change the true value here to false. We're going to drag this over and plug it up to the untouched section. So whenever the volume's untouched, we're going to set that back to false. So let's go ahead and set up the matinee animation for when we press the key button here. So let's right click, do a new event, input, key button pressed. And like again before, and using that green arrow there, or the green cross, put in the letter E, to let us know we're going to press E there. So next what we're going to do is another comparison, new condition, compare bool, and the bool we're going to compare is the is touching trap 1. Let's go ahead, add that, copy it, and next what we're going to do, if it is true, then we're going to go ahead and make the matinee animation. So press M and left click at the same time. That'll create a matinee for us. Let's plug that up. So let's go ahead and set up the new matinee animation. So what we need to do in order to set up the proper animation here, make sure our material instance actor is selected. And if you hit F4, there's only one property we need to look at, and that's the mat_inst property. That's basically asking you what the material instance it's referencing. So for the first trap, we're only going to reference the material instance set up from that light 1 material that we made. So looking back at that real quick, let's go back into my packages here, and right here, here's light 1, that's the main material, and then we created a material instance. This material instance is what's in that material instance actor, and that's what we're going to be referencing in that actor and in matinee. Same goes for the second light and the second material instance for that light. That's for the second trap. So with that selected in our scene, let's go back into Kismet, double click matinee to open it up, and then let's fully open up matinee. Let's right click, add new empty group. Let's just call this trap _01 _ activation animation. And then right click on that. And what we're going to do, is add new vector material param track. And this animation is only going to be about 0.2 seconds long. And because it's not a movement animation track, it doesn't give us one automatically at the beginning in terms of keyframe. But one thing before we even touch that, at the very bottom here, you're going to see a param name. Whenever you create material instances and in the main material there's a custom vector parameter or scalar parameter, you're going to have to name it so you can reference it like this. So let's take a look at that material actually before we do that. So let's go ahead and select the first material. And there's a lot going on here. The only one we're referencing here is light color. because with light color you're able to change how it's displayed here. Bear with me one moment. Why is it not opening? Okay, that's annoying. Oh, here it is. I found it. So if we make this red, my system is freezing up on me here, but as you can see, it changed. So if we make it even redder, it's even redder. So that's the same thing we're going to do, but in a matinee animation instead. So let's get matinee back open. That's Kismet. And that material parameter was light color. So we'll know we did it right if as soon as you do that, it goes dark like that. See how there's no color in the light right now? So the first thing we'll do, first keyframe, and there's a little box next to this material parameter here. If you click on that box, it's going to open up a graph above you. And this is where you can actually mess with each individual color. So if you right click on the blue here, set value, and set that to 1, you're going to see our light be blue. And then we're going to set all red, blue, and green to 1, just so it's a good overall color. See how it's back to normal now? Because we made red, blue, and green all the same color, so it's back to yellow. So we're going to do the same thing, except at the 0.2 second mark, create another keyframe. And the only one we're going to mess with is the red color. So up here, you'll see green and blue and red. If you click on them, they'll disappear from your graph, so you can only see the red. And we'll set the red to 1. And if you move your thing, it goes from yellow to red. There you go. And that lets us know that our trap is activated and ready to go. So let's go back into Kismet. Now that we have the whole animation set up correctly, all we need to do now is we're going to let the player know that the trap has been activated. So let's go to New Action, Voice Announcements, Play Announcement, and we'll do Trap Activated. That goes into Completed. And then one thing we do want to make sure we do is set the Boolean variable for the trap being set. We're going to set that to true. So we're going to go to B is trap set. That's our target. And our value is true. So now all we need to do is add the logic for when someone touches the trigger volume and the trap is true and the trap is set. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click. We're going to do, actually we're going to do here is copy and paste the is trap set one. Copy and paste that one. Move it upwards a little bit just for organization. We're going to go directly from touched, and it's going to ask, is the trap set? And if it is, what we're going to do is we're going to create another matinee just for the particle explosion. So holding down M and left click, let's create a matinee. Go into play, double click that matinee, and make sure we have this particle selected. Now let's fully open up matinee. Right click, add new particle group, and we'll call this explosion _01. And it gives us a toggle, so we can turn the particle on and off. So let's make a first keyframe at 0, 0, turn it on, and then all the way at the 1 second mark, hit another keyframe and turn it off. So now, if we play this animation, it should explode. And there's our explosion. But let's also add a sound effect. Let's go into our what's this called? Actor browser, content browser, I should say. Let's go ahead and do sound cues, and let's do explosion. Let's do that explosion noise. Back in our matinee sequence, let's right click, add new empty group, and do explosion sound. And then we're going to do add new soundtrack, and then we're just going to play it. So if we watch it, it'll be, and there you go. But let's just drag out the animation just so it takes up the whole sound. So if we play it again, that's how it goes. Let's just make it that long here. Yeah, it's about tweaking it, but we got that exactly how we need it. So that animation is done. So all we need to do now is, obviously there's going to be an explosion, but we also want whoever touched that to die, essentially. So what we're going to do, let me maximize that. right click, new action, actor, modify health. So under complete, actually what we're going to do, instead of going directly to complete, let's actually go back into this matinee. Under the explosion _ 01 tab, right click on that, and let's do add new event track. And on the event track, let's make that at 00. Add this new event name. Let's call this kill target. So let's get out of matinee. And now we have a kill target thing that will activate at 0 seconds of this matinee animation. Alright, so our target is going to be the same empty object variable that's going to be down here. So let's plug that in. And then in the modify health tab, damage type, we're just going to do telefragged. And then amount, let's just do 200 just to make sure they do die. So after that, once we do end up, killing whoever did touch that that trap, once they're dead, what we need to do next is we need to set the is trap variable back to false because it's not, it's not set anymore. So let's plug that in. But instead of the B is touching trap, let's go ahead and get the B is trap set. And then let's change that from true to false. And now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a new remote event. Let's do new action, event, activate remote event. And we're just going to call this event reverse material animation. Because once the trap gets set, we want to change the color back from red to the normal yellow. So over here, near this matinee animation here for the actual material, let's right click, new event, remote event, and then let's name it the same way. So let's copy and paste that name so we get it right. And then let's also make sure it updates properly. Perfect. We're just going to set that into the reverse. So that's everything we need here for the first trap. So let me just move these off a little bit. Now let's actually test that.
You are on red.
So we're touching it. Press E to set trap. Set in. Perfect. So let's go ahead and set the trap. Just play. It does. Perfect. Let's just see if we can die. And we do. Perfect. And the matinee animation there. We'll play in reverse. And we can keep doing that. So let's see if we can lure someone into that. I wonder how long that's going to take. Because these guys aren't the brightest in the world. Oh, there's a guy right there. Oh, jeez. He's messing me up. Touch it. He's barely touching it. Touch it. No! We were so close. Oh, crap. Oh geez, he's after me. Oh. Oh my god, we can't tell. We gotta get him to touch it. Okay, so what we can tell is that he is touching it right now, but he's not done. Only we die. Oh, wow. Actually, it looks like it's not even set. Okay, so we missed something here. So let's go back into our Kismet real quick. Okay. Let's see here. So it looks like something went wrong. I'm curious.
You are on red.
So let's see if we can get that enemy to touch that trap again. I want to see if it activated. If it's just like Because I'm thinking it works on the first time, but then something happens that causes it to give us problems here. There he is. Come on, dude. Oh, someone's got rocket launchers. Oh man, they got him. Okay. So it looks like it's an issue with it being not working over multiple times. So let's go ahead and see what happened. Because the key button press, that can mean an infinite amount of times. And we set this to 0, I believe. So something's not looping correctly here. Let's see here. Let's see. So basically it's a matter of here, where the trap is set, but it's not playing. Let's try rewind on play. Let's go ahead and mark that one real quick. I believe that'll fix our issue. And we'll know when we activate it twice and we die both times. So dead. And dead. Okay, perfect. So that was the one thing I forgot here. In that matinee, for the explosion, in order for it to work properly here, we need to have it rewind on play. That'll allow it to be activated multiple times and have us die as many times as we'd like, or kill as many enemies as we'd like. So let's go ahead and select this whole thing. Press C to comment. We'll call this trap 1. And the best part about this, the logic is identical for the second trap. All we need to do is update the appropriate variables and create the necessary variables as well. So we're going to copy and paste the B is trap 1 set, and the B is touching trap 1 variables. We're going to have to create new ones for those. Except we're going to update them to say trap 2 instead of trap 1. Oops, that's a 3. So all we need to do for trap 2, update the trigger volume. So let's select the second trigger volume here. Right click on that, assign. Now we have the updated trigger. Something else we need to make sure we update is the material instance actor. All we have to do is right click and do that. Since it's the same, it has the same light color and everything, it just updates properly there from there. But let's go ahead and go into matinee to double check. So what we need to do here, see how, alright, we have 2 target materials. So we're going to take out the 1. So now that's only the second target. So the second light material that we had mentioned earlier. So that's going to work just fine. So let's expand this way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to update a couple things here. So first thing is anytime we see B is touching trap 1, let's update that to trap 2. Same thing with is trap 1 set. So just update all those to 2. So just updating everything to the right variables here. And there we go. The last thing we need to update is this remote event. We need to make this a second remote event. So we're going to change it from reverse material animation to reverse material animation 02, just so they're independent, so they're different, so they don't accidentally fire off the wrong remote event. So let's go ahead and make sure that updates properly. And we also have to change the emitter, so because right now this is the emitter for over there. We're going to have to update it so it's the correct one. And perfect. So let's see if this one works.
You are on red.
And it does. And explosion. Perfect. Let's see if it does it twice. And it does. Awesome. And we can set these both, at the same time. And they can both explode independently. And we know that's working. Awesome. Great. So we know that's working, so that's all we need to do for those traps. So the last one we need to do is the trap door, the trap floor down here. So right here is what we need to do. It's encompassed of 2 different volumes here. 1 trigger volume here, 1 trigger volume here. And it's a secret little room. So let me see if I can demonstrate how it works really quick. Actually, we don't have it set up, so I can't demonstrate. But first things first, what we're going to do, we're going to select this trigger volume, the one down here. If the player falls in and touches this volume, which he's going to if he falls in, we want the player to die. So let's go into Kismet. Let's go over here. Let's right-click, new event using trigger volume 7. Obviously, what we're going to do here, we're going to change a couple of these parameters. We're going to uncheck force overlapping because we don't want to have the player needing to be overlapping with that. And then max trigger count is going to be 0. And last but not least, player only, we're going to uncheck that because we also want the enemies to potentially fall in and activate this trap. So after we have all that set up, what we're going to do, right click, we're also going to do the actor and then modify health again. So let's attach these guys together. And then what we're going to do, we're going to right click and create a new object variable for the instigator and put that as the target. So whoever does touch that volume, they're going to die. But we need to modify the health appropriately here. So let's do crushed and amount 200 to make sure they die. And that's what you really need for that portion. That one's very simple, not very difficult. But what we're going to do next, we're going to do the actual counting of how many times this trigger volume is touched. We want to have it so this trigger volume can get touched multiple times. It's random, but when it hits the amount that it meets to actually move, we're going to have that happen. We're going to have the player fall in, and we're going to have them die. So with that trigger volume selected in our scene, let's right click in Kismet, new event using trigger volume 8. Let's do touch. And then in here we're going to do almost the same thing. We're going to uncheck force overlapping. And we're going to uncheck as well player only. And we're going to set that to 0, so it can be fired an infinite amount of times. And we're actually going to need to create more integer variables. So let's go over here. And what we're going to do, this could be 1, that's going to be just a normal integer, so let's copy and paste it. And we're going to name this number of touches, but then we're also going to create a random integer variable. So let's go to variable, integer, random int, and this is going to be between 1 to 4 touches. So it's going to be random 1 to 4, and we're going to name this pre-generated value. Perfect. So that's all the variables we need. So back over here, first thing we're going to do is whenever the volume is touched, we're going to add 1 to the number of touches. So new action, math, add int, touch, and we're going to have to create a new name variable for that integer. So let's copy one that we've had already and just change the name so it matches number of touches. So that's going to go into A, and that's also going to be our integer result. And then for B, it's going to be 1. So I'll create a new variable for that and make it 1. So every time this volume is touched, it's going to add 1 to number of touches. And then what we're going to do is right-click, new condition, compare, and compare ints. Put that in. And what ints are we going to compare? We're going to compare the number of touches to the pre-generated value. So when those two are equal, that's when we go ahead and move. We're going to move this floor so that the player will fall through. So let's go ahead and make sure that interactor is selected in our scene. And then fully open up Kismet. Let's hold down the M key, bring up Matinee. Let's go ahead and minimize Matinee a little bit. So with the interactor still selected, right click, add new empty group. We'll do trap floor. Right click on that. Add new movement track, and we're going to make this a really fast animation. It's going to be 1 second long in the actual time frame, but when we go back to the Matinee actor in Kismet, we're going to make that faster. So let's go ahead, do a second keyframe, and let's move that on over. Perfect. So trap floor moves. Awesome. Let's go back into Kismet. Select our matinee animation there. Let's set the play rate to 3 so it's fast, so that whoever does end up falling doesn't even know about it until they're dead already. So when those are equal, that's when we're going to go ahead and play that animation. And then what we're going to do here, we're going to leave the trap floor open for a little bit, and we're going to reset some values as well. So let's go ahead and set up a delay. Make this delay about 5 seconds. It goes into complete. And after that 5 seconds, what we're going to do, we're actually going to set those variables that we created back to where they were. So let's go ahead and do a set variable integer. So number of touches, it's going to go back to 0. And then we're also going to do the same thing with the pre-generated value. So let's update that. And then we're going to change that from a normal integer variable to a random one with the same parameters as the actual pre-generated value itself. So 1 and 4. Perfect. And now what we need to do is when the floor or trap has been activated, all we want to do now is just make sure it doesn't get activated until it resets itself. So that requires a toggle. So if you hold down the T key and left click, it gives us a toggle. Let's go complete it into turn off. And then the event output, we're going to put that into this touch event. So once the actual floor trap actually activates, we're going to make sure that you can't touch anymore. That won't add any integers or anything like that. But what we're going to do next, we're going to right click, we're going to do a new remote event. So let's go to new action, event, activate remote event. And we're just going to name this reverse floor trap. Then we're going to go to new event, remote event, and we're going to do a reverse floor trap. Make sure it updates. Perfect. And then we're going to put that into reverse. And then when it is, what we want to do next, if it is reversed, what we want to do then is go ahead and turn that back on. So what we'll do, copy and paste this toggle, keep the event plugged in, but we're just going to do turn on. Perfect. So it is all set up. So let's see if it works. We're going to see if we can fall in, we're going to see if we can die. So we're walking on it. Oh, there we go. And I died. And then after 5 seconds, it reverses and you're dead. So let's see if we can activate it multiple times. Doesn't look like we can. Very strange here. So it looks like we're having some issues here, setting it off the second time. So one thing I want to check for, just to make sure we did this correctly, let's go back into Kismet. Let's give ourselves a log here. But instead of actually a log, we'll do a voice announcement. And the announcement's going to say touching floor trap volume. I just want to see if it does toggle on and off for us.
You are on red.
So touching floor trap volume. Touching floor trap volume. And now we're dead. And we're kind of just hanging on. We're like, no. So let's see if it activates again now. Looking at touching floor trap volume. Oh, okay, cool. So it was working correctly. Ooh. Okay, so it looks like it is working. I guess I don't know what was going on there. But it doesn't hurt to test like that. So let's get rid of that. And that is all set up. So let's select that all. Hit C to comment. We're going to call this floor trap. Alright. And And that's it. We're all back to where we were when I first showed you it. So we are done. We got all the traps working. We got the secure room working. And we got the AI working with the enemy spawns. So definitely check out the first video again if you didn't watch it, just to get better context and more elaborate explanations. And definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Any subscriptions help. And I hope you liked the video. Definitely like the video if you did enjoy it. Comment for more suggestions. I definitely try to listen to you guys as best as I can. And definitely share it too if you have the opportunity, because I want as many people to learn and to have fun with UDK as possible, because it is a really good engine. It's really interesting to use as well. So that's it for this one. So definitely check out more tutorials on the playlist I'm going to link it to. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.